Hey, folks, it's Mark Aram. I hope you're enjoying the Mark Aram Show podcast. A reminder, you can hear this very radio show live Monday through Friday. We're live 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a lift.
Hey, welcome to the show and a good Wednesday to you. Mark Aram in for the Conservative Viking. I'll be at your beck and call till 7 in the p.m. tonight as Eric takes the evening off. And I'm very happy, actually, I get to fill in for Eric today on the 18th anniversary of the attacks on America, September 11, 2001. It is mind-boggling to me that this country was attacked 18 years ago. It seems like not that long ago. It seems like just a couple of years ago. The memory's still so vivid from that day, that morning, and the days after that I'm scratching my head right now thinking, how could that have been 18 years ago? And this was a big slap in the face this morning. Freshmen in college this year were born post 9/11. There are members of the military, service members and women now that have enlisted that were born after the September 11th attacks. That's crazy. So I want to devote a bulk of the program tonight to remembering 9/11. We've got some old audio that we had here on WSB that morning, September 11, 2001, when the attacks happened. And you heard it here live on WSB Radio. I want to talk to my crew members, Longoria, Deb Green, who produces the show, and Low T Chuck, as you might know, is Charlie Thomas, Erickson's executive producer. We'll talk about their remembrances, your remembrances. I've got some audio, but I just want to start off just by reliving. I think I do this every year, Longoria, yes, because this was probably the most important day of my life, was September 11, 2001. You know, it's you've got AC or AD and BC, the demarcation of the Christian calendar, right? Yeah. In the Mark Aram calendar, it's pre-9/11, post-9/11. Like, that is how big of a day that was in my life. And I'm sure for a lot of folks listening, it's the same way. And perhaps older generations may have been D-Day or Pearl Harbor. You know, those are the days that mark, oh, I grew up that day. I certainly grew up September 11, 2001. That was a monumental day in my life. Real quick, I was in the traffic center that morning. It was a really slow news day. I mean, just achingly slow news day. You'll hear, if you've ever been in the newsroom, news people like news. They like a lot of news to talk about. And I think our top story that morning on Atlanta's Morning News with Scott Slade was Michael Jordan considering coming out of retirement, which on a normal day would not even be close to the top story.
Right.
That was our top story. It was like, oh, is Michael Jordan going to come back? And I remember we were complaining in the newsroom, like, God, what a slow day. Like, that's our biggest story. Famous last words. And I remember when the first plane hit, we didn't know what exactly was going on. We got a feed from New York, from the Associated Press, I believe, or maybe it was CNN, saying, oh, there's smoke billowing from one of the World Trade Towers. We think a small plane hit. So I remember flipping over to CNN and watching it on TV, and they're like, yeah, there's smoke. We don't know what's going to happen. Was it a Cessna? Blah, blah, blah. And this was, the morning news went to 8:30 at that point. So at 8:30, we'd flipped over to Neil Bortz, and we're monitoring it, and it, you know, we saw, oh, it's, you know, we just assumed it was a small plane. Like, how could a small plane do it? Maybe it was a student pilot. We were all, you know, just wondering. And then the second plane hit live on TV, and we were like, oh no, just oh no. And Slade came in and took over for Bortz, and it started wall-to-wall coverage for the next, I don't know how many months. And that was the only time in my 22 years at WSB that I ever bailed doing traffic. I literally walked out of the traffic center. I'm like, you know what? I'm sure 85 commuters will understand, but this is bigger than local traffic at this time. That's the only time I've ever bailed on traffic. And I came in, and it was a mad scramble. This is 2001, so this is, you know, the infancy of the web, and, you know, it's not 2019 where we have iPhones, and so we all scrambled into breaking news mode. And Scott Slade, I mean, just was behind the mic. If you ever wanted a calming, soothing voice, it's Scott Slade taking us nonstop coverage. and I wanted to know what I could do. So obviously, at that point, we knew this was terrorism. So my role that morning, because in 2001, I'm like the young kid. I'm the internet expert.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to hit the internet, and I'm just going to focus on how this is being reported around the world. So my job was to scour foreign newspapers, the London Times and the Beijing Post or whatever. And I'm going to all these websites trying to find any new factoids we might have or how they're covering it. And I'm just coming in with Slade and giving them updates and giving them, all right, this is what the Jerusalem Post is reporting, or this is how. And that was my function. And of course, we went into a 24-hour news roll from that time. And I don't remember leaving the station that night, but I certainly did. I was on the air at 1 a.m. with Matt Reese, who used to work here, news guy, reporter. He was actually Jennifer Griffey's replaced Matt Reese. And we did overnight talk because no one wanted to go to sleep that night, the night of September 11th into the morning of September 12th. So we were live, and on WSB, it was just AM at the time, and we still have the AM signal, of course, but we hit 38 states at night. So Matt and I were on the radio taking calls from Texas, Wisconsin, Ohio. I don't think we got any calls from Montana, Chuck, but we had calls because we were this clear channel signal, this huge booming signal broadcasting all over the country and getting calls from not only people that were worried here in North Georgia, but literally all over the country. So the worst part, and I don't know if you guys remember this as I do, but there was this trepidation, like, all right, planes into the World Trade Center, plane into the Pentagon, plane down in Pennsylvania. We're all waiting. And I don't know if this was just like a news reporter thing or if this just was a person thing. We're all waiting for the next shoe to drop. It was like, okay, what's going to happen next? Like everyone's on guard. Like what's going to happen now? The bridges, the tunnels in New York, are they going to be attacked? There's no more planes flying. I mean, all the planes came down so that we took that fear out of it. But it was like just this on the edge of our chair, just watching the news ticker, which was born that night, that morning across all the news stations. It was like, what is going to happen next? And I remember leaving. I ran home and took a shower, then came back to the station wondering, all right, well, the sun's going to rise on September 12th. What is going to happen next? Because we really thought, and I don't know if you guys felt this, that this was just the start of it. Like there were more terror attacks that were going to come. Do you guys remember that feeling at all? The next day of thinking, this isn't over?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Because that was it was like a pit in my stomach, and I'm getting it again just thinking about it. Driving in, going, all right, they took down the trade towers with a plane. What's their next attack? Is it going to be anthrax? Are they going to poison our water supply? We didn't think this was it. We didn't think this was a one and done. We were waiting, and one of the things that sticks out to me was when I was driving back to the station, and I don't know if this happened. You guys weren't in Atlanta yet.
No, I was in Montana.
Yeah,
Texas, and Deb, you were here?
Yeah.
There were certain gas stations because, listen, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was going on that were charging like $10 for a gallon of gas when the price of gasoline was like $1.19 or something. And it was like, that just added to the panic. Like, oh my God, the gas went from $1 to $10 a gallon because of this. And I'm not going to throw stones at the gas station owners. They didn't know what was going on either, and they didn't know if they were going to get another shipment or what. But it was eye-opening going, holy cow, like our world has completely changed. And we just went in, we were just robots at that point here at WSB Radio for the next, I don't know how long. And I'll never forget this as well. So you know how, like right now we're doing Convoy of Care. And I think we're going to be able to talk to Eric Erickson. Eric Von Hessler, the other Eric. We're going to talk to Von Hessler. He's at one of the Convoy of Care locations. But WSB Radio steps up, as always. You know, the Care-a-thon, Clark's Christmas Kids, Convoy of Care. We stepped up, and we did remote broadcasts all over the city. And I remember I was doing a weekend show at the time, and I went out, and it was me, Ted Clark, and Tony Schiavone, and we were broadcasting from Cumberland Mall, and we were taking donations just for the Red Cross or whatever, September 11th. This is the week of September 11th. We went into action that quick. And I remember a car dealer, I don't know if the dealership is still around or not, but the guy handed me a $50,000 $100,000 check.
Wow.
And I was like, I was blown away by the generosity of not just that guy, but people were coming up. Housewives were coming up, emptied their account. They're just handing us wads of cash. We raised so much money. The community was so giving right after September 11th. I don't even know what the total is. I'd have to check. But it was stunning. Cars were lined up. We were in the Cumberland Mall parking lot. And I remember Honey Baked Ham was there providing food for everybody. And there's bottled water. And people just like a line of cars to come and just donate money. Just literally handing over anything they could for September 11th. And that, while as tragic as that day was, that morning was here. And again, the most memorable day of my life, September 11th, 2011. What makes me feel better about it was September 12th of 2001, September 13th of 2001, September 14th of 2001, because for the first time in my life, and this makes it seem like a distant memory, there was no political bickering, there was no partisan divide. There was September 12th, 2001. Dag nabbit. We were all red, white, and blue Americans. There were no Republicans, no Democrats, no liberals, no conservatives. I've never felt more like an American than I did on September 12th, 2001. And I've been chasing that feeling for 18 years now. I've been chasing that moment where we can, and God forbid it's, a tragedy like that brings us together. But if we could all just go back to remember, those of us that were alive and remember it, go back to life on September 12th, 2001, where we would have given our shirts off our back to our neighbor. We would have emptied our wallets for our neighbor. We would have done anything we could for our neighbors. And I've been chasing that feeling every day since. And now, 18 years later, I'm still looking for it. I'm going to talk more about how we covered the breaking news on September 11th, 2001. I'll talk to the crew here as well. I know you guys all have stories. And, of course, I want to open up the phone lines. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. 18 years ago today, unimaginable terror on the shores of the United States of America, September 11th, 2001. Never forget. It's Mark Airman for Eric Erickson on the Evening News, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hey, can you look out your window right now? Yeah. Can you see God about 4,000 feet, about 5 east of the airport right now? Looks like he's...
Yeah, I see him.
You see God? Look, is he descending for the building also?
He's descending really quick, too, yeah.
Well, that's
500 feet now. He just dropped 800 feet in like one sweep.
That's another situation.
Another one just hit the building.
Wow. Another one just hit it hard. Another one just hit the World Trade.
The whole building just came
18 years ago today, this all unfolded before our very eyes and ears. Mark Aron back with you on the 18th anniversary of September 11th, the attacks on America. I'm in for Eric Erickson. By the way, we did not have a free gas winner, so you'll get a chance to win $700 coming up at 5 o'clock. $700 up for grabs in our free gas giveaway. So back to that morning, September 11, 2001. I'm here at WSB Radio. And, you guys are used to working in a newsroom. For folks that are listening that have it, it's always, in a big story breaks like this, like, how are we going to cover it? And I went to my boss. This is maybe at 10 a.m. The attacks happened before 9. This is 10 a.m. I'm like, I will get in my car right now and drive to New York. Like, we need boots on the ground. And he was like, wait. Richard Sangster, who was our morning news reporter at the time, great reporter for years, tried to get a flight. And of course, they grounded all the flights. So I'm screaming, not screaming, but forcibly saying, I will drive to New York right now. Like, my friends are there, my family's there. I know the streets I can get. And they're like, no, calm down. We're not going to do that yet. And then finally, Richard Sangster was able to get like the jump seat on a Red Cross flight because those are the only flights that were going up to New York. And he went up and wound up staying at Mike Kavanaugh's mom's house or something, because that morning was so crazy. I remember the cell phones, like trying to call my friends in New York, and all the cell phone towers are busy. You can't get through. So I wound up having to email my friends, hey, are you okay? Because I couldn't get through the phones. And I went to school in my fraternity. I had like 4 or 5 guys that became New York City police officers. And I just was emailing them, are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. And I didn't hear back from one of them, John Hines, till like 10 days later. because he's not checking his email. Obviously,
Right. That's not.
And he's
important
like,
to him
but for that long a time, I was like, he didn't make it. And then he wrote back, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm just getting this. I'm good now." Blah blah blah. But I wanted to get up there so badly and cover that. But Richard Sangster went up, was able to jump on a Red Cross flight, that jump seat, get up there. He stayed up there for a couple of weeks covering it. Just a remarkable time in history. And again, as bad as September 11th was, September 12th, I'm still looking for that unity from this country. We can get there again. I truly believe that without having to deal with a tragedy like September 11th. Chuck shakes his head. I know, I'm living in a fantasy world. But do you remember how tight this nation was? Man, that was a good feeling to know that everyone was on the same page and we were all one United States of America. Your calls, your thoughts, your remembrances. When we come back after news, weather, and traffic, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. Aram in for Erickson on WSB. Solid 8 on the Mark Aram Show back sweat meter, by the way. Mark Aram with you till 7. You can hear the Mark Aram Show live 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday on WSB or on demand at WSBradio.com. I'm in for Eric Erickson today. Honored to be filling in for the Conservative Viking on the 18th anniversary of the attacks of 9/11, which to me is just mind-boggling that it's been 18 years. It truly feels like yesterday. All right, so I told you what happened on my morning of September 11, 2001. I want to hear your remembrances at 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. And can we ever see the unity in this country again that we saw September 12th, 2001? Pat joins us in Kennesaw. Pat, welcome to the program. How are you?
Good. I was about 4 or 5 years old on 9/11. I was sick that day, so I was not in school. And I remember vividly watching TV at the house, and all of a sudden my mom got a phone call from my grandfather, and she frantically ran over to the TV, and we saw the second plane hit live. And I remember not knowing whether or not my mom was watching a movie, why she would change the channel.
Wow. And how old were you again, Pat? I'm sorry.
I was about 4 or 5 years old.
So right on the cusp of maybe understanding what's going on, but not really.
I mean, she tried to explain to me that this was real and it wasn't just a movie. I didn't really fully grasp it up until I was probably about 10 or 11 when my dad turned on the news and they were running reruns about 9/11. And I vividly remember my dad came home from work earlier that day, which was virtually unheard of for my family. And I remember him and my mom at dinner sitting down, and I'll never forget him saying that the world will never be the same again.
It's
and
true.
I mean, it's crazy because the older I got and the more footage that I saw and the more stories that I heard from different people, it's less and less talked about throughout the day now. I vividly remember growing up in high school, no one talked about it.
Well, see, I'm glad you brought that up, so I was going to save that for the next hour, but is there a possibility that this fades into history? You know, is there a possibility that this becomes, a big event, but not the landmark event that I think it certainly was? Will it hold on like a Pearl Harbor did? Like D-Day has.
Oh, I'm sure once that generation that was that young gets out, you know what I'm saying? It will be like that.
So Longoria on the other side of the takeout window, you've got 2 young daughters. I mean, do you even discuss it with them yet? They're too young?
They're too young.
And I'm assuming
won't understand.
the schools will still handle it. I mean...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'd say something about it.
It was a great story today. Deb found me. Governor Cuomo of New York passed a law today that is going to require New York State schools to every September 11th a mandated moment of silence when the planes hit the towers came down. I thought that's a great way to keep this memory alive, because that guy was 4 years old when it happened. It's unbelievable to me. I guess I just assume everyone I meet is the same situation I was on September 11th.
I think
right?
It's become a history note for those, like the way we were taught about the moon landing or World War II or something. And it was so long ago and so far away that it doesn't make sense until we experience something like that.
Absolutely. I hope it doesn't fade into memory. Colonel Chuck joins us on the show. Always a pleasure. Chuck, what's going on?
A year prior to 9/11, I was assigned in military garb to the Pentagon. And a year later, I'm at Fort McPherson at my desk doing my job when they called me down in the emergency operations center.
We lost you, Chuck. I'm sorry. Call back, though, buddy. Adam's in Woodstock. Adam, welcome to the Mark Arum Show. How are you, sir?
Oh, good, Mark. Thanks for taking my call. I'm going to give you a different perspective. While everybody was down here, I was seeing it happen, unfold live from my classroom in Brooklyn that overlooked New York Harbor.
Oh, no, where in Brooklyn? Greenpoint?
Greenpoint, sir. You are correct.
Okay.
We didn't, nobody saw the first plane hit the tower. Nobody was looking for anything like that.
Yeah, and when it hit here, we thought it was just a Cessna. We were like, oh, a big deal, a big story, but just a Cessna.
We couldn't take our eyes off of it. Kids started pouring into my classroom looking at it, and the scary part is, at first they were all excited because movies get filmed in New York all the time, so they thought it was something like that. And then it took a little time, and then it sunk in, and then the horror of not knowing. And you mentioned how the planes were canceled, which was a smart move, because everybody was going, what's next? What could possibly happen? Mm-hmm. But when you're living in a city like Manhattan, you are used to the noise every 15, 20 minutes of planes flying by, and the silence was eerie.
Let me ask you a question. After you realized, all right, so the second plane hits, you're in Brooklyn at school. What does the school do? Do they dismiss the kids early? Because I mean, it was full on frantic panic mode in Manhattan. But in Brooklyn, did they let the kids out early to go home? What was the situation?
No, because that would create a panic. If you let everybody go, nobody's not knowing where anything's gone. The safest place for them was where they were secure, in school.
Gotcha. Because I remember they closed the bridges and tunnels, so all the people that were working in Manhattan. I remember the images of all the workers having to walk over the Brooklyn Bridge to get home because they couldn't get out of the city any other way.
They couldn't drive out, but if you could get out, they let you out. The only thing that was being let in was emergency vehicles.
Did they have school the next day? Do you remember?
No, for like the first time, they canceled it. There was no way.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see the skyline anymore, and that was scary. The whole city was covered in this yellow dust, so thick.
I remember the grayness of the area, just right at ground zero when that just gray dust just settled on everything, and it looked like literally like a foreign planet, just crazy. Adam, amazing phone call. Thanks for sharing, buddy.
Thanks for taking it, sir.
All right. I'm surprised they kept him in school. I guess it was the smart thing to do.
It's the safest thing to do.
But as a parent, wouldn't you run to the school to get the kids?
Probably, right? But at least they knew they were in school, and if the school where it was located, they were far enough away.
Safer from the impact zone. Don's in Cartersville. Don, welcome to the show.
Hey, bud, appreciate it. Hey, listen, I was in Dallas, Georgia. I'm in construction, and my wife called me, and she sounded a little, teary-eyed and stuff, and she said this major thing going on. Being in construction, you can't listen to a radio much, but I started calling my mom and my dad, and as I was listening to what these folks were saying, I was touched deeply by what Scott Slade had to say this morning about that young woman that was a fighter pilot. Do you remember what he said about her?
I mean, I was a little busy this morning, but I do remember him talking about her.
And what a courageous act she had to probably have to perform with no weapons on that plane and fly into that jetliner to try to prevent anything from getting into Washington or wherever these clowns were trying to get into. But I'll remember this day as long as I live. And I was in Florida when the Challenger blew up. I was watching it take off.
Oh, I remember that morning, too, yeah.
That will sit in my mind for the rest of my life.
Here's just a quick anecdote. So I didn't know this guy at the time, but a buddy of mine now was fly fishing in Canada when it happened, and like Western Canada, and could not get home because they stopped flying to the United States. So he had to like not hitchhike, but like find a way back to the United States. And since 9/11, now you need a passport to go to Canada. You didn't used to need it. You just use your ID. It was a life-changing event for a lot of people. I want to hear more of your remembrances. Good stuff so far. 404-872-0750. 1-800-WSB-TALK on Twitter and Instagram at Mark Arum. In for Eric Erickson on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Mark Arum for Eric Erickson, remembering 9/11, 18 years ago today. Seems like yesterday. Where were you when the towers fell? I've got a lot of audio to play, Longoria. Remind me to get that in before the end of the show. Chuck joins us in Loganville. Chuck, welcome to the program.
Hey, Mark, thank you. My wife's from Staten Island, and she called me after the first plane hit and was crying, and, of course, kept telling me it's gone. And it's like, what's gone? And she told me the tower was gone. So we got the TV hooked up and got to see the second plane come in, but what I was able to do, I had an 8-foot dish on the roof of the house, and I was fortunate enough to get the live feeds from Ground Zero. So I literally spent my weekends watching them clear Ground Zero live.
Do you know what's crazy? Deb, maybe you can find this out. How long it actually took to clear up Ground Zero? I mean, it was years. Spike Lee made a movie during that. I think it was 25th Hour. And like they showed just how long the cleanup process was, and unbelievable. And of course, the first responders now coming down with cancer, just unbelievable. Ben's in Buford. Ben, welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, Ben?
So I was in Miss Brannon's 6th grade math class at Buford Middle School. Never forget it. I had heard in the halls between the last class and hers, there's some guys joking about, I guess, that there was some, dumb guy in a plane who flew into a building, whatever. And, a bunch of 11-year-olds, you don't really think much more of it. Miss Brannon, though, if I'm not mistaken, she had either sons or really close family who were in the military, so she probably knew what was about to come from it, and had the TV on. And that was the first time that I'd ever seen, and probably only time I'd ever seen Miss Brannon cry.
Oh, what is going on with the phones? They're just right when people are getting to the meat of their story. Lakeisha's in Stockbridge. Lakeisha, welcome to the Mark Arum Show.
Thank you. That morning, I was actually living in Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And I recall the traffic was just really, really thick and heavy. And I was working in Cambridge at the time. And so once I got to work on my floor, I saw the second plane hit. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. So I'm trying to call my boyfriend because they sent us home, not knowing that the planes came from Logan.
That's the airport in Boston, by the way, folks. For folks who know, that's the name of the Boston airport. And ironically, Lakeisha, that one of those flights, allegedly, the creator of Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane, was supposed to be on one of those flights. He overslept, missed the flight. And that flight was one of the two planes that crashed into the tower. Sorry, Lakeisha, we got a break for news, weather, and traffic. I want to get to your calls. Got a lot of audio to play, but I'm with you till 7, so we've got some time to stretch out here as we remember September 11th. 404-872-0750. 1-800-WSB-TALK on Twitter and Instagram at Mark Arum. In for Eric Erickson, the evening news on 95.5 WSB.
Running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome back to the show. 5:09, 92 degrees on Peachtree Street. Mark Arum in for the conservative Viking Eric Erickson. I'll be with you till 7 in the p.m. 404-872-0750 is the number. We're going to have fun at 6, but till then, we're going to do some 9/11 remembrances, including some audio I'm going to play right now, Longoria. You might have heard this on Atlanta's Morning News with Scott Slade. No winner, by the way, in the gas. So tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., $800 in free gas will be up for grabs. Register online at WSBradio.com. Jamie, we're talking about 9/11 today, and I want to hear your remembrances. This is Jamie Dupree. He filed this audio, Jamie Dupree 2.0, talking about 9/11 from his perspective.
Scott, I'm in the Capitol building here, and in my broadcast position here in the House of Representatives, I have a window that looks right out on the city, and there is clearly large black clouds of smoke coming right over from the Pentagon. Now, I know I just heard somebody say on the air from CNN that there was a fire on the mall, but I am looking down here. I have a view of the White House, and I do not see anything toward there. The reports on the wire are that a plane crashed into the Pentagon. I cannot confirm that. I am seeing from the local TV stations here in Washington.
That's Jamie Dupree from September 11, 2001. A, great to hear Jamie's voice. That was awesome. And B, we kind of forget that, lost in, obviously, a lot of the focus in New York, that a plane hit the Pentagon and a plane was taken down in western Pennsylvania. It's a crazy situation. Michael's in Griffin. Michael, welcome to the program. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing, Mark?
Excellent. What was going on in September 11, 2001 for you?
So at the time, I was 15 years old. I was homeschooled, so I was at home. Both my parents worked, so I was home alone, and I was asleep in bed. Now, let me preface this by saying my sister is fine. She's alive today, doing well. She's doing great work in Atlanta. With that being said, my best friend, who was also homeschooled, called me, woke me up, told me, hey, something happened in New York, turn on your TV. So I went to take a look, saw that a plane had hit, and I just sat there still trying to wake up, still trying to make sense of what was happening. And I didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, it was an accident. And then right there on my TV, I see the second one hit. And that moment is when I knew that something very real had just happened. And my grandmother called, told me to start praying. I was like, okay, yeah. Then my parents started calling and saying, hey, we can't get in touch with your sister. Nobody can get in touch with her. She was at the airport in D.C. And for about an hour, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
I understand.
For about an hour, I thought she was dead, because she was a flight attendant for United.
Oh my goodness.
And so for about an hour, nobody could reach her. And finally, she had called my parents, and they told me she was fine, and everything was fine and everything. But she was in the airport, and I remember when she finally made it home, and she had told us, they showed the terrorist faces on the news. She said, I was in the same hallway as them. I saw every single one of those guys.
That's unbelievable. Michael, I'm glad you called and brought that up, because I didn't even think about this. If there are any pilots or flight attendants listening now that were active on September 11, 2001, I'd like to hear your perspective. Because were you in the air when this happened? Were you on the ground with the ground stop, and how that impacted the industry? I mean, that was a huge blow to the airline industry post 9/11. Trey joins us next on the show. Hello, Trey. Hey, buddy.
How are you, Mark?
Excellent. What's going on?
Just tell you, I appreciate you taking my call, and I love your show, and just had a quick remembrance about 9/11.
Yes, sir.
I was actually on an airplane leaving Atlanta, headed to Pensacola. I was doing government affairs work at the time. I was 40 years old. I was doing government affairs work for my employer, GE, and we were on the way down to cut the ribbon on a new manufacturing plant, and Governor Jeb Bush was planning to join us that day. The eerie thing was when we landed, and we went really quick. I remember getting off the plane thinking, wow, that had to have been the fastest flight. Probably took 25 minutes. So clearly the pilots knew to put the plane on the ground.
Oh, so the attacks happened while you were in the air then?
Yes, I left about 8:40 that morning.
Goodness, wow.
And so I got off the plane, and the eerie thing was the nice Delta flight attendants all said, thank you for flying Delta. Have a nice day. We didn't know of anything going on until we walked out into the concourse, and then it was complete chaos. And my phone was blowing up, and family was trying to reach me, and I did have enough presence of mind. I just took off in a sprint to the rental car counter.
Exactly. Good job.
Yeah, I knew there wouldn't be any planes going in the air, and I did go ahead to the plant. Obviously, everything was off. Governor Bush was not coming. You know, if you remember, President Bush, his brother, was in Sarasota that day reading to the children, and we had heard after the fact that they were planning to connect in Pensacola, but, you know, again, clearly none of that happened. But it was a long, somber drive back to Atlanta from Pensacola in my rental car, and I think I got the very last rental car in Pensacola.
I can only imagine. I'm glad you brought up President Bush. So I've got some audio, Longoria. This was the first baseball game in New York City after 9/11. I mean, baseball shut down. It was that far wide-reaching. And this is the first game in New York City after September 11th, and President Bush throws out the first pitch. Here's some audio of that.
Ceremonial first pitch. And please welcome the President of the United States.
Walked out on the field, and I mean, the energy and the crowd and the noise was really, really powerful.
It was a perfect strike. Perfect strike. I mean, they were freaking out that they were going to let him do this because, again, at this point, we're still waiting for another attack. You know, we're still waiting for the next shoe to drop, and President Bush just went there and did it. And his famous line, you know, when he was down at the ground zero rubble, that's still one of my favorite presidential quotes of all time, where he says that, you know, do you hear me now? Well, the rest of the world's going to... Yeah, that was pretty remarkable. Chris joins us on the Mark Arum Show. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Mark. How are you, sir?
Excellent, buddy. What's going on?
Well, I just wanted to pipe in on this. I was, this happened 9/11, 2001. I had just graduated Marine Corps boot camp the year previous, September 10th.
Oh, wow.
And so... you know, I joined the Marine Corps because they had really nice uniforms. I never thought in a million years that I'd ever have to go to combat.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward 3 years from that point, I was a military mortician. So I was literally picking up, you know, the servicemen and women that got killed. And it wasn't every time that I would have to go and do that. You know, seared into my head was, you know, the events that started all of this.
Sure. And how big of a surge? I mean, so you're in the service for a year, and September 11th happens. And, I mean, just the amount of volunteers that people went and signed up for the armed services was massive after that.
It was incredible. And you remember people like Pat Tillman, who had lucrative NFL contracts, and there were physicians. I remember a surgeon at the shock trauma hospital interactive was like 60-something years old that had to have presidential approval to become a military physician. It was, you know, as I hear stories of World War II, it was similar is such that everybody wanted to volunteer, everybody wanted to do something.
Yeah. And I saw some of that. I mean, not to the degree, but when I was in high school, Desert Storm happened, and we had a bunch of guys from my high school that enlisted right after that. Thank you for your service and the call, sir. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. I've got a longer montage of WSB radio audio from 9/11. I'll play that after the 5:30 news, so stick around for that. I will take more of your calls when we come back. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk, on Twitter and Instagram at Mark Arum. In for Eric Erickson, remembering 9/11 on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. 92 degrees on Peachtree Street. Don't forget, WSB's Convoy of Care continues, Deborah Green. You can drop off stuff here at WSB Radio, or Thursday, tomorrow, Ashley Frasco will be live from Woodstock from 10 a.m. to noon at Woodstock First Baptist Church on 92. And then Eric Von Hessler from 3:30 to 5 will be at Woodstock First Baptist Church. So you can donate there, Georgia State Stadium, the WSB Studios, or Caring for Others over on Browns Mill Road on the west side. So very good. WSB listeners, just like post 9/11, I think it was Carl Black Chevrolet But we were doing the remote broadcast the week of 9/11, and we were just taking donations. I guess at that point it was just Red Cross because there was no memorial fund, victim fund. And I think it was the guy from Carl Black Chevrolet handed me a check for $50,000. And I was like, wow, people are generous. This is unbelievable. September 12th was amazing. September 11th, not as much. Where were you on that fateful day? Max in Decatur. Mac, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
What's up, brother?
Listen, I was the dean of students at Agnes Scott at the time, and I had been listening to Bortz and heard Jamie Dupree break in. And so by the time I got to my office, most of campus was aware of what happened. And we gathered all the students together in one of our main buildings. And as we got them all together, this administration became really concerned about the Muslim students, the international Muslim students.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine.
In fear of retaliation by Americans in the community. And so I had to stop thinking about my family and start dealing with the students and how they felt. And we basically isolated those students and eventually ended up housing the Muslim students with some of the faculty and staff there on the campus until they felt, it was safe for them to be back on campus. So
I remember in the aftermath of that, a large number of the Sikh community was attacked because they were mistakenly thought they were Muslims. That was a dark period as well, for sure. When we come back, I've got some amazing audio from WSB Radio on that September 11th morning. I'll play that when we come back, and of course, more of your calls. Mark Arum in for Eric Erickson on 95.5 WSB. 5:39, 21 in front of 6. Mark Arum with you till 7 p.m. tonight. Then Dr. Joe's going to do my final hour. You can listen to the Mark Arum Show Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 on WSB or WSBRadio.com or iTunes for the podcast. So before we get back to the calls, remembering 9/11, Chris Chandler, you just heard him deliver the news. He's become like the station archivist. And for some reason, there was a hole in our archives of the 9/11 audio. Something happened to the tapes. We used to tape everything, Longoria, like cassette tapes.
The DAT tapes?
No, regular cassette tapes.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
So something happened. I don't know what's going on. Excuse me. But they're missing. So Chris Chandler was able to piece together this audio from his archives of what WSB Radio sounded like September 11, 2001.
From controlled airports have been halted. All aircraft in the air right now will land and stay on the ground.
That, of course.
Good morning. This is Chris Camp live in the WSB News Center. We have breaking news from New York at this hour where apparently a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. If you can believe it, a plane, yes, has crashed into the World Trade Center, one of the Twin Towers in New York City. We're going to go live to CNN for the very latest on this still developing and incredible story.
It is a remarkable scene as we're seeing right now. Flames still coming out of the windows, black smoke billowing from what appears to be all sides.
Again, you're listening to News Talk 750 WSB and CNN continuing team coverage of this breaking news out of New York where a plane has crashed into one of the World Trade Center towers.
Brutally tough time for us as a country, but nothing compared to the individual stories of one person at a time whose life has been tragically cut short, whose families have been affected by this in ways that I cannot even begin to imagine. It's one thing if you know who the enemy is. It's a completely different thing to have an attack by faceless, mean-spirited cowards. This is hard, and there are hard times that we will work through. No cowardly terrorist act will tell me that I cannot get on an airplane and fly. I will not have fear being in an airport. I will not have fear being on an airplane, and I will fly. We have to decide, do we live or do we go back into caves? You want to go find a cave? So I will not be afraid to fly. And that will be the ultimate victory for me, that nobody's going to scare me off of some airplane.
The events in New York City and Washington, D.C. have been tragic. Our thoughts and prayers go out to those who have been injured, who have suffered any loss. This is a time for calm, not panic, says the governor. Our emergency management officials are well trained, are closely monitoring what is happening here in Georgia and throughout the country. No other reason. People are simply not in the mood for working, and they are concerned and worried about both their welfare and the welfare of relatives around the country. Let's update our closing list
That's, by the way, Mike Kavanaugh, rest in peace, former evening news anchor here on WSB Radio. Before him, of course, was Clark Howard. This is audio from WSB Radio. News Talk 750 WSB, as you heard Chris Camp mention, as we were called back then.
Right now, I'm joined live in the News Center by WSB's Lisa Campbell and WSB's Veronica Waters.
That's right, Mike. And I asked several of the callers and business owners why they were closing today. The word is, we just can't get any work done. Most of the employees are watching this on television, listening to us on the radio, not getting any work done. So that is one of the reasons this list is so extensive today. Here's the updated list. Georgia state government is open. Of course, Hartsfield Airport has been shut down. Schools on our...
One other postponement, baseball. Major League Baseball has postponed the entire Major League schedule, at least for this day and for this evening.
So I have no recollection of businesses closing that day. I mean, I was just so wrapped up in what was going on here, but I had no recollection.
I had another job outside of the radio station, and we went to work, and I linked lunchtime to just go home.
Wow.
Because nobody was doing anything.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. I had no idea. Let's go back to the phones. Tom joins us on the program. Tom, remembering 9/11, where were you, sir?
I was working for a hotel developer at the time, and I was just in the office, and one of the lawyers that we had came walking up to me, and he was actually a likable lawyer, and said that he heard that a plane had crashed in the World Trade Center, and my first response was, well, how do you not miss that?
Yeah, exactly. Was it a pilot error? Was it a student pilot? That was the first question we had.
So back then, we didn't have cable TV in the office, so we did have a TV for presentations, and I had to use some wires to try to get a signal and to be able to watch the coverage, and several of us kind of holed up in this little conference room to watch it, and the HR lady kept coming by, and she'd peek in, and then she'd huff and puff, and then a little while later she was like, don't you think we ought to get back to work? And
no.
I kind of told her where to go.
Yeah,
stick it,
no HR lady. Hey, Tom, I got to run, man. I appreciate it. Truck driver, real quick, where were you on 9/11?
I was somewhere out in Wyoming, but one thing a lot of people don't realize is that it not only affected air travel and airlines, it also affected my industry, because they actually stopped allowing commercial trucks over the Hoover Dam and through a lot of the tunnels in the nation after September 11th for fears of attack.
Yeah, I do remember that. I mean, and again, I keep going back to this point, but the trepidation we had, because we were under attack, and we didn't think, wrongly now in hindsight, we didn't think that this was over. We were waiting for the next attack. And there was talk of the tunnels, like the Holland Tunnel and the Lincoln Tunnel and the George Washington Bridge and what else in D.C., the White House. And it was a very nervous time to be an American, because we didn't know what was coming next. And that uncertainty was very, very frightening. 404, no, I have no more time for calls. I'm sorry. I'll get to the calls that are on hold when we come back, though, I promise. We're remembering 9/11. On Atlanta's Evening News, Mark Arum for Eric Erickson. You can contact me via Twitter and Instagram at Mark Arum, MarkArum, or Facebook, Mark Arum, WSB. 9/11 by the numbers. 2,977 people killed. 2,753 died at the World Trade Center site. 343 of them, New York City firefighters. 343 New York City firefighters died there. 23 New York police officers. 343 firefighters died in the line of duty there. Unbelievable. Don't have much time. Real quick, where were you September 11, 2001, Eddie?
Actually, I'm a retired NYPD lieutenant, and I was actually on my way home that morning from my midnight tour, and I was on the highest point of the LIE, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and I saw that one of the towers was smoking, and my police radio went off, and I called my captain and said, where are you? And I said, I'm on my way home. He goes, turn around and get to the West Side Highway.
So you turned around on the LIE, went back to the city, and...
Well, actually, we had an escort of Suffolk County and Nassau County Police. We got to the West Side Highway. We geared up. We commandeered a couple of city buses, and we got over to to the towers. And we were basically there just to protect the firemen because we didn't know what the hell was going to go on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we start hearing thump, 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 and we didn't know what it was. And this is a little graphic, but it was bodies landed on the ground from jumping out of the buildings.
That was, I remember seeing that live on TV where people were on the burning floors.
I had a couple that landed 75 feet away from me. And within 10 minutes, we heard this rumbling sound, and that's when the first tower was coming down. And me and other officers and every other first responder was grabbing civilians and running and pushing them into storefronts. And we just kept running. The debris, the smoke, the dust was coming down on us like rain, like hail. And we finally, anybody we saw, we tried to push them in the storefronts. And thank God the store owners, they were so awesome. And we turned around again and ran back. And it was as black as night. And we get back in there, and we're trying to search, and there was nothing we could do. And within another 15 minutes, the other tower came down, and, you had to retreat. There was nothing you could do. And once the smoke cleared, well, not cleared, but where we could get in there again, I spent 14 days down there digging bodies out.
I don't think we could end the segment any better than that. Eddie, thank you for the call. Thank you for your service.
Can I just say one more thing?
Real quick, buddy.
September 12th was the greatest day in this nation's history because this is when this country actually came together as one nation.
Amen, Eddie. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much. Wow. We're going to end on that. We're going to come back. We're going to lighten it up. We're going to play Millennial Match Game. I need 2 contestants for Millennial Match Game to call now. 404-872-0750. This is Atlanta's Evening News on WSB. Welcome back to the show. 2 very emotional hours there filling for Eric Erickson. Thank you for everyone sharing their 9/11 memories. Never, ever forget. I should mention, by the way, on this September 11th, before we get into Millennial Match Game, Deb Green's husband officially became a U.S. citizen today.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Patriots Day.
On Patriots Day, on 9/11.
Nice.
Very cool. So he was, he's renounced his English citizenship.
I know.
Is that how it works? Like he renounced the crown for you?
You have to give up his previous citizenship in order to become an American citizen.
Well, congrats to him. That's very, very cool.
I told him no more hot tea. It all has to be sweet from going on forward.
Absolutely. He's fully Americanized now.
Yes.
That's very cool. And you were there for the ceremony?
Absolutely, of course. Yep.
That's
a little
very
flag to wave back and forth.
So his whole plan to get into this country by marrying you, it worked.
Totally worked. Yeah, he's the only white guy that married a Mexican girl to get American citizenship.
That sounds kind of ass backwards.
Fantastic. I'm very proud. Give him all our best. That's amazing. That's good stuff. Does he have to talk with a Southern accent now? Or
I don't think he could do a Southern accent.
No.
I've got a little Midwestern in him every once in a while, but that's still a stretch.
Yeah, I bet you do. Anyway, we're going to play Millennial Match Game. Returning to the show is Christina Aiklin, who used to work here at WSB Radio, now is a valued member of the Power Podcast.
Yes.
With Jared Yamamoto and Nicole Bennett, not Emmett, and Randy O'Cray. So welcome back. It's been a while since you played Millennial Match Game.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be back.
Today's Millennial Match Game are Saturday morning cartoons. Let's meet our contestants on the phone. Dave's going to be playing Millennial Match Game. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing great, Mark. Been looking forward to this for a while.
Excellent. You familiar with Millennial Match Game?
Absolutely.
All right. You're going to be going heads up against Kimberly. Kimberly, welcome to the show. How are you, dear?
Fine, thank you.
You familiar with Millennial Match Game?
Kind of.
Kind of. All right. So I'm going to play some sound from Saturday morning cartoons, and you have to guess whether Millennial Christina will know what cartoon it's from. So you don't need to know the answer. You just have to guess whether or not Christina will know the answer. When in doubt, the Millennial doesn't know. Got it?
Got it.
All right. Longoria, hit that thing.
Let's play Millennial Match Game.
As always, we start off with the lady, Kim. By the way, Christina, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, how old you are, and all that good stuff.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. So I'm 27 years old. I'll be 28 in January. So a little bit on the mid, I guess like a mid-millennial.
You're right in the meat of the millennial.
Right. I did watch a lot of Saturday cartoons.
I understand.
So I have a lot of faith in myself in this one.
All right. So here we go. And she's got very good parents. So let that sway your decision here. All right, Kimberly, first Saturday morning cartoon. Will Millennial Christina know what cartoon this is? All right, what do you think?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I certainly don't know this. Christina, do you know that?
It's something detective, like Nancy Drew or something. Like something.
Let me hear a
Nancy
little
Drew
more.
was not a cartoon.
She recognizes it. She's dancing. All right, what do you think? You got a guess?
Gosh. I have no
clue.
No idea.
All right, Kimberly, you get a point. That was Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I had no idea that was even a cartoon. All right, so you get a point, Kimberly. It's that simple. Dave, here we go. Saturday morning cartoons. Will Millennial Christina know what cartoon this is? I don't know the answer to that. I've never heard of that. What do you think? Will Millennial Christina know?
I haven't heard it either, so I'm going to say no to
Yeah, Millennial Christina, what cartoon was that?
I have no clue. Sounds like a boy cartoon. I didn't have any brothers, so.
Denver the Last Dinosaur. Are you making these up, Deb Green? You pulled I've never heard.
No, anyone have you guys
Have you
ever
guys
The
heard
first one I knew of, but the second one I've never heard
Denver
of.
the Last Dinosaur? You're
sounds
just
like a
making stuff up now.
Okay, yeah, I created the song.
All right, Millennial Match Game tied up 1-1. All right, here we go, Kim. Will Millennial Christina know what Saturday morning cartoon this is?
Friends are there
to help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Friends are there
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
to pick you up when you're down.
All right, I mean, at least I can understand the lyrics there. What do you think, Kim? Will Millennial Christina know what cartoon that's from?
Yeah, I don't know that one either, so I'm going to say no as well.
Yeah, we're playing a new game called Stump the Host with Deb Green. Christina, do you know what cartoon that was?
I would make a great guess.
Yeah, play a little more, Longoria. Can you pot it up? It was Garfield.
I didn't watch.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's like a.
It sounds happy, and then there's a guy.
It sounds like a show tune, like on Broadway or something. All right, real quick, Dave, will Millennial Christina know what cartoon on Saturday morning this is from?
Eternian, defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend.
I think I know this one, but will Christina
Yeah,
Millennial
I
know?
absolutely know this one. Can I get a bonus point if I guess it afterwards?
Maybe. We'll see. But will Christina know? That's the thing. She's 27.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, I'm significantly older than you, Christina. I think I'm going to say no because it's obscure enough, the beginning there.
I'm going to say no as well. Let's hear a little more, Longoria. This definitely is a boys' cartoon.
And I became the most powerful man in the universe.
Who's the most powerful man in the universe, Christina?
Superman. It's a cartoon. No, that's not
No,
it.
He-Man. He-Man.
Oh, He-Man.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't answer Yamamoto because you would have lost all credit with us. Who's the most powerful man in skinny jeans?
Jared Yamamoto.
Round 2, Millennial Match Game. Deb Green, what's the score looking like?
It is 2-2, and it's Kimberly's turn.
Kimberly, you're up. Saturday morning cartoon version of Millennial Match Game. You all right, Kim? You okay?
Yes.
All right. I mean, if your kids are in trouble, go deal with them. This can wait. They're okay?
Yes,
All right,
fine.
here we go. Will Millennial Christina know what Saturday morning cartoon this is? All right, I know it. I think you probably know it, Kimberly. Will Millennial Christina, who yelped when I played it, will she know what?
I was going to say yes.
Millennial Christina, what is that?
Looney Tunes.
That is Looney Tunes. Good job. All right. Here we go. You need this one to stay tied, Dave. Will Millennial Christina know what Saturday morning cartoon this is?
Mark, my favorite cartoon as a kid.
I know this one, but I mean, she's 27.
Yeah, but it's a boy cartoon. It's a boy cartoon. I'm still going to go no.
You say no? Oh, Christina, what is it?
Inspector Gadget.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Haha, gotcha.
Wow.
You, Christina.
Yeah, I would have thought no, because that truly is a boy cartoon.
Inspector Gadget.
Very good. All right, Kim, you're up. You're up 3-2, by the way. Will Millennial Christina know what Saturday morning cartoon this is?
Where are you? We got some work to do now.
That's an oldie oldie but a goodie. I don't know. She's 27. I grew up with that, and I'm 31 now. So maybe I don't know. What do you think?
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes.
I think so too. Millennial Christina, what cartoon was that there, buddy?
Scooby-Doo, of course.
That is Scooby-Doo. Very good. Yeah, it was kind of in the lyric there, so you got a little help there. All right, Dave, you really need this one to stay in the game. Will Millennial Christina know what Saturday morning cartoon this is?
As your body grows bigger,
Your mind must flower,
it's great to learn.
cause knowledge is power. It's Schoolhouse Rocky, the tip of the block of your favorite Schoolhouse Rock.
What do you think, buddy?
Well, Mark, I mean, the names and the lyrics again, so
Yeah.
hopefully I get the benefit this time. I'll say yes.
All right, giving a lot of credit to Millennial Christina. What is that, Millennial Christina? What
It's
cartoon?
Schoolhouse Rock.
That is Schoolhouse Rock. All right, you're getting the ones with the names and the lyric. That is good. All right, here we go, Deb. Millennial Match Game. You are up 4-3. Will Millennial Christina know what cartoon this is from?
Mr. Trouble never hangs around when he hears this mighty sound. Here I come
to save the day. I loved that cartoon. That was one of my favorites. But will Millennial Christina know? That's an oldie.
I'm just going to say no.
I'm with you too. Let's hear a little more, Longoria.
So though we are in danger, we never
This was a
where there's danger,
gender neutral cartoon. I think this wasn't necessarily a boy. Oh, do you know what that was though, Christina?
I have no idea, but it did say Mr. Trump. I'm going to go with the name and the singing along, that Mr. Trouble or something.
Mr. Trump. No, her jaw just dropped. That was Mighty Mouse. Have you heard of Mighty Mouse?
No, I have not.
Here I come.
I like it though. Maybe
he was a little mouse, and he could beat up Superman. Like he was a super mouse.
I need to watch this.
Yes, Mighty Mouse classic. All right, so do we get a point there? Did Dave?
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
Dave
yeah.
got
Kimberly
a point.
got a point.
All right, Kimberly, whoever's up. All right, here you go. Next, who's up, Kimberly?
This is Dave.
Dave, you're up. Will Millennial Christina know what Saturday morning cartoon this is?
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 4 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe.
Cosmic Legends of the Universe. Well, Millennial Christina, this is another one of my favorites back in the day. I had the sheets.
Yeah.
I had these sheets on my bed, Christina, and the pillowcases.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense. Okay.
Well, I didn't, Mark, but I'm going to say no. I think it's just obscure enough, hopefully.
I think as well. A little more, Longoria? Another gender neutral, maybe a little leaning toward the boys.
I didn't have brothers.
Yeah.
I had Margot.
All right. What's that? That's her sister, by the way. You want to take a guess on that?
I have no idea. Something Justice League. I have no idea.
It was close. The Super Friends.
Oh, okay.
So you had Superman,
Of course.
yeah, Wonder Woman,
Love
The
her.
Flash,
Yeah.
Low T Chuck. I mean, we're all
Love
Super
him
Friends.
too. Yeah.
All right, that's the end of round 2. Millennial Match Game. What's the score, Deb Green?
Kimberly 5, Dave 4.
All right, Dave's going to try to win it or tie it when we come back. Millennial Christina in studio. It's the Saturday morning cartoon version of Millennial Match Game on the Mark Arum Show.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me? There we go. Final segment of Millennial Match Game. Who's up, Deb Green?
All right, it is Kim's turn. She's ahead by 1 point.
Saturday morning cartoons. Will Millennial Christina know this cartoon? What do you think, Kim? Oh, I got to put them on the air, huh? I've totally hammered this. Kim, I'm sorry. There you are. Dave, you're there. Kim, do you know what? Will she know what cartoon this is?
I'm going to say no.
Christine, do you know what that was?
I have
Teddy Ruxpin. You get a point. All right, final chance at glory, Dave. Will Millennial Christina know what cartoon this is? What do you think? Yes or no?
Boy, that sounds familiar, but I'm going to say no.
What do you think, Christina? Blank and blank.
Tom and Jerry.
Ben and Jerry. Ben and Jerry. I'm just kidding. It's
Oh
Tom
my
and Jerry.
God, Ben and Jerry's the ice
Good job.
cream.
Christina, so good to see you. We got prizes for both Kimberly and
We
Dave.
do.
What did they win, Deb
You're
Green?
both going to go check out Trans-Siberian Orchestra December 8th at Infinite Energy Arena.
All right, so hang on the line. I'm really hammering this whole thing. Thank you, Christina. News, weather, traffic, and Johnny Kilbasa next. This is the Mark Arum Show.
Hey, folks, this is Mark Maron from WTF. You're listening to the Mark Arum Show. Enjoy.
91 degrees on Peachtree Street at 639. We're going to call it an 8 on the Mark Arum Show back sweat meter. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. Fun version of Millennial Match Game there. Do you know what else was fun, Deb Green? Winning lots of gas. We did not have a winner tonight on the evening news program. So tomorrow, I believe it's $800 up for grabs. Register to win free gas at WSBRadio.com. And while you are in the giving spirit, it has nothing to do with giving, but the Caravan of Care continues tomorrow. Tim Andrews in studio. Eric Von Hessler going to be out amongst the people tomorrow there, Tim Andrews.
Yes, he is, with Jared.
Oh, Jared's going out there.
Yes,
all right.
he is.
They'll be at the First Baptist Church in Woodstock on Highway 92 from 3:30 to 5 p.m. You can drop off donations here at the studios, Georgia State Stadium, Woodstock First Baptist Church, or Caring for Others on Browns Mill Road. No bottled water this time, though. We don't need bottled water. We need diapers. We need foodstuffs.
Cleaning supplies.
All the things that we need are online at WSBRadio.com. They may or may not need a fast food review with Johnny Kilbasa.
And now, on the Mark Arum Show, it's time for the Fast Food Review.
Yeah. Joining us live on the Greasy Salty Hotline from parts unknown, height unknown, weight, we do not want to know, Johnny Kilbasa and the ever so popular Fast Food Review. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm doing great, Mark Arum. A tisket, a tasket. I'm putting the brisket in the basket because I'm wrapped in bacon. I'm here for the take, and I'm covered with cheese, and I aim to please. An hour early today. Hello, Atlanta's Evening News, everybody.
What's on the menu tonight there, Johnny K?
Mark, I know we're all barbecue snobs around here, but there's a new addition to the brisket market in the fast food world, and that's pit smoked brisket from Subway.
What?
Now, yeah, they're not just messing around either. They're claiming that this is a 13-hour slow smoked brisket. They're putting it on a sub bun with cheddar cheese and some barbecue sauce. And apparently the news going around is that they had a taste testers in Austin, Texas, the home of barbecue in America, obviously, and they gave some brisket to these people, and they all said it was really good, and then they told them it was from Subway, and none of them freaked out and trashed the place.
Is there video evidence of this?
Yeah, it's on the internet.
Okay.
That's with a capital I.
Yeah, so I was in Great Barrington, Massachusetts over Labor Day weekend, and there's a Subway there, and there's I'll tweet out this picture. Is a Subway rib sandwich, Ribalicious, $4.99 foot-long barbecue rib. I'd never heard of such a thing. Is this just a thing that's available in Western Massachusetts, Johnny?
Mark, I love when I start the fast food review off by talking about something and you just turn it around and start talking about something else. It's really great when you do that.
I was speechless on the brisket at Subway, so you made me think of the Ribalicious. I'm sorry.
Yeah, now is that the Subway right down the street from the Friendlies that you used to go to, or is that the different one?
This is in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, where I couldn't even believe they had a Subway. But anyway, all right, so I digress. Back to the brisket at Subway. Sorry, Johnny.
No, brisket ribs, they're throwing their hat in the barbecue realm with all this stuff because if you haven't heard, Subway is kind of falling down the top 10 list of fast food restaurants in America for whatever reason, I don't know, but they need to do something to get butts in the door, so they're trying whatever they can, and they know the McRib always works, so why not do the Subway rib too? And they know people love barbecue, so they're pulling out the brisket as well.
I'm going to have Longoria, who allegedly is from Texas,
yes,
or just south of Texas, try the brisket. I'll bring some in tomorrow.
Okay.
Hang on, Johnny. We track traffic every 6 minutes. Throwing to Doug Turnbull is fast-talking Doug Turnbull live in the studio.
That's right, Mark. Take care. It's fast-talking Doug Turnbull, Triple Team Traffic. Traffic Trooper Jared's girlfriend says headlights on if you're in a tunnel. Alex?
Did you hear that yesterday, Doug, by the way, on the Von Hessler Doctrine?
I've heard it in the past, but I was warned about it yesterday, and I love hearing it now, man. That's flattering to be on Tim's list of weapons there.
So the Van Doctrine, what is this thing? The Von Hessler Doctrine replays when I drive into work in the morning, and we heard Tim, as John Osloff's translator, because he was talking so fast, and he was fast-talking Doug Turnbull translating for John Ossoff. One of the funniest things I ever heard, Tim's like, smiling.
Doug?
Love it.
You still there, Johnny K?
It's great fast talking with all you guys. And remember, if the cholesterol is high, so am I. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and listen to the Thoughts John podcast on any pod or JohnnyCabasa.com. Back to you, Mark.
All right, before we leave, though, thanks for the traffic early there, guys. So is this available Metro-wide? I can get this brisket from Subway tomorrow and bring it in for Longoria to taste?
It's available everywhere for a limited time only.
For a limited time only. All right, so we'll do that. We have that to look forward to tomorrow, Longoria, because you're the true barbecue guy, right?
I am. I like to see if it really tastes good.
If it was barbecue elk, Chuck would chime in. If it was barbecued carrots, Deb Green would chime in.
How smoky does it have to be for Longoria to think it's a good brisket?
Say that again?
How smoky does it have to be? Does it have to be
Very
really
smoky
and really tender? Does it have to be
Yes.
sliced thin or shaved or something?
Oh, I don't like thin brisket.
You don't like thin brisket?
No. That means they didn't do it right.
You like meat on your brisket.
Yeah.
So we got pizza here at the station, Johnny K. And I tell Deb Green, hey, we got pizza in the newsroom. She goes, I just ate my carrots. I just ate my carrots. She's a work in progress, Johnny K. We're trying, buddy. Hey, we appreciate you as always, and
the cholesterol's still high, Atlanta. Catch me on JohnnyCabasa.com. Happy football season, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate you as always, bruh.
Anytime, Brett.
All right, Johnny Kilbasa and the Fast Food Review. We'll be right back. This is the Mark Arum Show. Smiling. Final segment of the show. Dr. Joe's going to take over at 7 since I filled in for Eric Erickson earlier. I'm going to get a little respite. Taylor's in Dallas. Taylor, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Mark Arum. How have you been, sir?
Excellent. What's cooking?
Hey, man, I just want to let you know myself and Floyd Hillman are going to be up there at the Alternative Baseball All-Time Classic on on September the 11th. September 14th. This coming Saturday.
Okay.
This coming Saturday, where our players with autism and special needs will be playing alongside, and we'll be playing against.
Sorry, slow down, Taylor. Slow down. We got time. Slow down. The Alternative Baseball League, which is an amazing thing, Longoria. You can Google it and find out all about it. But Floyd Hillman from the traffic team will be out there September 14th. Where's it being held, Taylor?
Mount Perrin North Church of God Baseball Park in Marietta. You
Excellent.
have to go through the parking lot to take the driveway to go to the field.
And where can we get info online? You got the website or something?
Yes, sir. AlternativeBaseball.org.
Excellent. All right. And if I play, can I throw a brushback pitch to Floyd Hillman?
Oh, that'd be awesome, man.
I'm gonna knock the hat off his head.
At 2 o'clock, Walter Banks will be coming to throw out the ceremonial first pitch from the.
I love Walter, the greatest usher of all time, Walter Banks. All right, excellent. So Alternative Baseball League this Saturday, September 14th, Mount Perrin Church of God. Lest you think there's another church. It's the Mount Perrin Church of God, Longoria.
Okay.
Floyd Hillman, Walter Banks, Taylor will be out there. All the info online. Check it out. It's for special needs kids that get to play baseball. It's like an amazing park that it's wheelchair accessible.
Right, yeah.
It's very, very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. And Floyd Hillman, he's very, very cool as well. I know it's early yet. We are going to do Star of the Show, by the way, before we go. I just want to say thanks to everyone that called in for the 9/11 remembrances today. That was some touching stuff. Remember, September 12th, 2001 was the last time we were as close as a nation. Let's try to make it that way tomorrow, September 12th, 2019. Speaking of tomorrow, Deborah Green, normal show? What's going on in the show? You're the executive producer.
Are we a normal show? We have a 1-hour show for sure, unless there's any changes around.
Live.
All right, so we'll
Bulldog Live.
Bulldog Live. So we'll have Sanjay on with Would You Rather and any food or anything?
I do not have food. No,
That's
I'm
okay.
working on some other food.
Carrots. Can you bring carrots
Would you
in?
want some of the carrots? Yeah.
No. I said, do you have ranch dressing or something?
Ew.
She goes, ew. When was the last time you
carrots?
What
Yeah,
time did you
that's
had just that raw carrot sticks, Longoria?
Ugh,
Dipped
never.
in nothing.
Nothing. Never.
Yeah.
Not in my whole life.
Why would you ruin the carrot?
That's horrible. That's the grossest thing ever.
I think you're in the
Plain
KGB.
carrot?
Yeah, carrot with nothing on it.
By the way, I should have bought stock in cauliflower 10 years ago.
I love
Cauliflowers and everything.
It's in everything
crust
now.
out of it.
Mashed potatoes that
Oprah's
are
got a
fake
new thing now.
potatoes.
Oh, it's chicken Alfredo with cauliflower.
Yeah,
What's
they make
good?
the Alfredo sauce out of cauliflower instead of.
We should have bought stock in that. Let's do Star of the Show, Longoria.
And now, are you guys ready for the Mark Arum's star of the show.
The star of the show is the girl that just said star of the show, Christina Akelin, who is here for Millennial Match Game, brought to you by Rocco's European Garage. Rocco's European Garage is the official title sponsor of Millennial Match Game. We could not do Millennial Match Game without our buddies at Rocco's European Garage. They're great folks. They take great care of your cars. They are amazing, and they are the sponsors of Millennial Match Game. So Christina, who voices the star of the show, actually just got the star of the show. That's pretty cool. All right, we'll continue the conversation on Twitter and Instagram at Mark Arum, Facebook Mark Arum WSB. In the meantime, go to sleep, little baby.
Go to sleep, you little baby.
Guests of the Mark Arum Show stay at the All Suite Omni Hotel, located in the heart of Chicago's Magnificent Mile.